Hi guys, hope everyone out there is okay, and welcome to episode 3 of Shift the series, Enterprise Wi-Fi in the Residence. So just to run back at the overall idea behind Shift, guys. So Shift is focused on having people understand the difference in requirements being placed on our residential Wi-Fi networks now. Residential Wi-Fi networks are being asked to do things that they may not have been asked to do before. Heavy video conferencing, online schooling, ridiculous amount of video calls, etc., etc. The point is, many times the existing environment within your residence as it pertains to Wi-Fi may not be able to handle it. So we wanted to take this series and make it into something that actually empowers the average home user to be able to understand and demystify all that Wi-Fi technology, making you a stronger person as it relates to understanding what's going on. So this is not geared at the technical person or the person who understands wireless technology. This is geared at the average home user. All right. So today we're going to be looking at 3 simple topics around signal strength, and Wi-Fi coverage. So we're going to look at understanding coverage and understanding how coverage works. We're going to look at understanding signal strength. What is signal strength? You know, how does signal strength relate to performance? So after this now, the idea is for you to walk away a little bit more knowledgeable in preparation for the episodes down the road. And just to give you an insight, the end result is to empower you to be able to do a high-level wireless survey within your own home, to be able to effect whatever changes that you may need to effect to allow you to have a better wireless experience. All right, so let's get a little technical, guys. So understanding coverage and how it works. What is wireless coverage? Let's talk about what an AP or access point cell is. Put very simply, an access point or AP cell is the area that the wireless access point covers. All right, so the space within you that you get wireless coverage from is referred to as an access point or AP cell. Devices get coverage when they enter that access point cell. If you're not within the cell, you don't have coverage. So when you hear persons talk about stuff like, I'm not getting any wireless signal, my phone, my device, I can't browse properly, you're a little bit more knowledgeable now. So you have to be within an AP cell to be able to get coverage from that access point. Still on the topic of understanding coverage, so let's look at it a little practically. So on your screen, you have an oval, and at the middle of that oval is an access point, the word access point. So if you look at where that oval spans, that is referred to in the context of this diagram an AP cell. Let me get my pointer here so I can make it a little easier. So this area here is referred to as the AP cell, or the coverage area for that access point in the middle, this coverage area here. And all these little devices are wireless devices. And just to point out very plainly that the devices that are within the oval, those are the devices that are within the coverage area or the cell of that AP. And you may ask yourself, why is understanding what an AP cell is? Why is this important? In your home, guys, the area that the access point is covering, regardless of whether you have a 5-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom house, it doesn't matter. The area that that access point is covering theoretically is called the AP cell. So this is just bringing some technical context to what you see practically every day. And let's look at some key points. Let me get rid of this pointer. An access point cell is never a circle in real life. Let's get that straight. This circle is just like that, just for demonstrational purposes. Wireless signals are never straightforward. They are never nice and orderly. So an access point cell is never going to be as orderly as this. Why? Because a lot of variables actually affect wireless signals, like interference, obstacles, like walls, doors, etc. And each access point creates its own access point or AP cell. So if you have two access points in your home, they create different AP cells. If those two AP cells don't overlap or are not close enough to each other, every time you walk out of one access point cell into the other access point cell, theoretically your machine or PC or phone has to drop off, drop connectivity, and start again. This is just some context for some videos down the road. So we went a little advanced there. We're still staying on the topic now, but we're diving into signal strength. So what is signal strength? And I'm not referring to bars on your PC or bars on your phone, right? Bars, you know how many bars I have? That is a representation of signal strength, but we're trying to dig a little deeper here, guys. So signal strength is the indication of power. So understand the words that I'm using. It's the indication of power emitted from the wireless access point. All right, but very important, that is from the perspective of the receiving client. I wish I had my whiteboard here. From the perspective of the receiving client. So signal strength for my device may not be signal strength for your device. Signal strength is the indication of the power from the wireless access point, but from the perspective of your device, guys. So when you look at your device, you may be seeing 3 bars. I'll use bars right now until we get some, more technical terms to use. You may see 3 bars, I may see 4. You may want to understand why, because your device has a different perspective of what that signal strength that it is receiving is, right? And my device has a different perspective of the signal strength that it is receiving. It's nothing to be concerned about, it's just different representations. How do we measure signal strength? On this slide, I have 3 ways of measuring signal strength. Milliwatts is seen as the most accurate way, all right? But it's not as easy for humans to consume all those numbers, especially the way wireless signals flow and so on. So though it's the most accurate, it's not the most commonly used for human consumption, right? Meaning for everyday use. RSSI, or Received Signal Strength Indicator, that's another way of measuring signal strength. The challenges with RSSI is that it is not consistent across manufacturers. So different manufacturers may use an RSSI range of 0 to 60, and some may use an RSSI range of, let's say, 0 to 200. They're both measuring signal strength, but they're using different scales. So understand the challenge that could present. If your device is using 0 to 60 and my device is using 0 to 200, we may not be on the same playing field, although we're measuring the same thing. All right? The easiest and most consistent way right now, and it's used across many devices worldwide, it's dBm. Now, dBm, or decibel milliwatts, all right, it's an absolute value, meaning it's a sure value. It's an absolute value for measuring signal strength. And as we go forward, we'll dive into dBms. So don't worry about it, guys. All right, so how do we read dBms, or decibel milliwatts? First of all, it's important to understand that dBm uses negative values. We're not talking about positive values here, guys. So you may see some applications providing information like -30, -20, and you may be confused. I hope I've just started to clear up that confusion. So dBm uses negative values. dBm values are never consistent. Just like we saw the oval, and we pointed out that that oval is never going to be as clean in real life, that it's the same thing. dBms are never going to be consistent. Your device may have a negative value of 40 now, and you turn around and it's -50, right? You sit down, it's -75, because you're dealing with wavelengths, guys, all right? Radio frequencies, so it's not something that's going to be consistent. They fluctuate very dynamically. The closer the value is to 0, the stronger the signal, because we're dealing with negative values. For example, -40 is a stronger signal than -70, because -70 is a much lower number. So let's bring all of this together. This diagram here we're using the same AP cell from before. All right? We just removed some of the actual wireless devices. We're actually showing the signal strength as you go out of the AP cell. Remember we spoke about as you go further and further away from the AP cell. No, we didn't speak about it. We inferred that by actually stating that inside the AP cell is where you get coverage and outside the AP cell is where you don't get coverage. So the closer you are to the access point, it's the best coverage you may receive, and the further you walk away from the access point, the coverage gets worse and worse. Similarly, the closer you are to the access point, the higher the signal strength. So we're talking about coverage up here, but we just learned how to measure coverage. So the higher the signal strength, and the further you walk away, the lower the signal strength. So using this example of dBMs, if we come back, now we go back to this diagram, the closer you are to the access point, you may be getting values like -40, -50, -35, and so on. And the further out, you're going to start to get values like -67, -70, and so on. All right? Remember, each device will interpret coverage differently. So now that we've spoken about dBMs, how we read signal strength, how we measure signal strength, how coverage occurs, we define an AP cell, let's bring it together and ask ourselves this question. Why does signal strength matter, and how does signal strength affect performance? Let's look at it like this. Have you guys ever been sitting watching a movie, let's say on Netflix, or watching a YouTube video, and it starts to buffer? I'm sure everybody went through that. All right? Or you're on a VoIP call with your job, and all of a sudden you start to freeze. Voice starts to break up, and you're connected to a wireless network. Signal strength can be one of the variables that creates that situation. And I'm saying can be because we'll be talking for hours if we start to talk about all the variables. Remember, we're talking about signal strength today. So let's look at this chart here. This was actually something that I took from our friends at MetaGeek. So MetaGeek is a company that they do a lot of Wi-Fi. They provide a lot of Wi-Fi tools and so on. So we work with them a lot. They are saying from an acceptable signal strength perspective, a signal strength or dBm of -30 is amazing. All right, I see -30 there, and I've only seen -30 while in my job. Very rarely, I've seen it a few times, because -30, according to MetaGeek, is the maximal or the max achievable signal strength, but it's not something desirable in real world. So full bars, just to go back to bars, full bars on your machine or phone may equate to like -40 or so dBm. All right, just to bring it to a more realistic figure. -67 is considered very good. All right, it's also considered as the minimal signal strength for applications that require reliable, timely delivery of voice packets. For example, VoIP streaming, VoIP calls, etc. Some may argue that that is not actually the case, but the point I'm making here is that when you look at the list, guys, you understand more about what signal strength can be able to support, what applications. It's very evident from this slide that your signal strength affects your ability to do certain things on the Wi-Fi network. So the next time you are sitting at your PC or on your phone and you're able to browse a website, but you can't stream a YouTube page, check to see where you are in the AP cell. As we go into other episodes, we'll suggest some applications that you can download so you are able to understand, okay, what is my dBm reading right now? What is my signal strength? No, according to this presentation I saw from Blue Networks, you know what? I can't do a voice call with that. Let me reposition myself. So guys, the idea is to give you the information to be able to affect the changes necessary for you to understand more and more of what's going on in the environment. Thank you very much. Thank you for the time, guys, and this was Shift.